Today is International Day of Older Persons. Talk to me about the significance of that.
Today we are celebrating older persons. The October 1st was first designated by the UN in 1990 as the day selected to observe the role and contribution of older persons to society. This year, 2022, the theme selected by the United Nations is the resilience and contributions of older women.
Okay. Talk to me about that theme.
Okay. When I focus on the theme, I think I'm looking at it from a local perspective. And I look at the Barbadian woman and we salute her for her resilience. Her resilience as the person who is endowed with the spirit of enterprise and thrift. She educated her children, she bought real estate, she maintained her property, and all through thrift, throwing the meat in turns, putting on sows, baking bread, sewing all through the night, but her family was her focus. When I think of the Barbadian woman again and a resilient woman, I think of the woman, the caregiver, whose role was selected. She didn't have a choice. And she was selected, one, because of gender, and two, because maybe the level of education. But despite the fact that she didn't play a role in selecting the role as a caregiver, she displayed a high level of commitment and dedication to the persons who she looked after. And we ought to salute that Barbadian woman, the unpaid caregiver. And at the end of her years of service, she wants to retire, or she has reached an age where her other peers are receiving pension. Her only pension is what she would receive from the state. And on occasion, she might take ill. And if she does, again, her only recourse is through the government health institutions, because she was never afforded the opportunity to acquire health insurance. So you think of her as a spirit of thrift, enterprise. You think of, I think too of, when you think of public transportation in Barbados, you must mention the Barbadian woman. One woman in particular who comes to mind, and I guess is Mrs. Rock from, she had a Rock Lane Bus Company. And today, the red and yellow tourist bus, everybody, likes to go on the bus crawls and all that on the tourist bus. But that bus, those buses, provided service for Barbadians to reach to the city and to be able to even bring their produce to the city, and for children who lived in the country to come to town. And there are other ladies, I think Mrs. Simpson, there are some other ladies as well, but what I can say here is that public transportation had its birth with the Barbadian woman as well.
As a society, how do we continue to foster that resilience?
We have to foster that resilience through encouraging our young women to be strong, to not to give up that easily, because I find sometimes people tend to throw their hands in the air, and that's not an option. You have to be able to recover quickly from difficulties and think through situations, and rather than throw your hands in the air or running away from the situation, you have to decide that this matter has to be dealt with. It has to be fixed. I am the person who will fix it, and go on from there. And so these are little characters and building skills that we ought to pass on as well to our generations, because it's always, sometimes it's fearful, and you saw it during COVID when we were on lockdown, or there were certain situations when one had to shop by the names, by the alphabet and all that, and people were becoming agitated. They wanted to give up. But and when we looked at the whole process, he said, if I have to shop by my letter in my surname, I don't have a problem, because the whole thing is not to catch COVID.
What is BARP's role in this?
Okay, we continue to offer programs, of course, of empowerment. Our programs were hampered during the COVID period, but what we were able to do and record successes with is that we were able to successfully train and expose and train a lot of our members in the use of the Zoom platform. And so they went to church, they used the iPads, we showed them how to use the iPads to communicate with their grandchildren, particularly those who had grandchildren overseas. We showed them how they can attend the birthday parties of the grandchildren, via Zoom. So we helped quite a few of our seniors to navigate that Zoom platform, and for us, that was a major achievement. We also, just before the lockdown, with the compliments of Flo, we held sessions here at BARP showing our seniors how to use the telephone, and that the cell phone, and that the phone had other features, stronger features, other than just to make a phone call. We wanted to show them how to send WhatsApp so that they could stay in touch with loved ones. And the communication, the Zoom, and the technology methods that were available for us, we made sure we ensured that our members were acquainted with the use, because our aim was to keep them as safe as possible. So that is something we were able to do. And
as a society, how do we foster healthy aging?
Healthy aging as a society has to start from those little children right now. And because you can't decide to age healthy and you decide you stop this and stop that, you start exercise at 50, you're fooling yourself. I recall a lecture given by George Ali, and he said that the healthy aging process starts from very early. So we have partnered with the Healthy Coalition, and you see the Sweet Drinks campaign and the less sugar, the no sugar and all that. We fully support and endorse the work of that coalition, because if we can get our children, and I'm talking about children in kindergarten and primary school and secondary, if we could get our children to eat properly, and for parents to understand it's important that their lunch boxes be packed with food that would nourish the brain and the body, and not food that's going to, in another few years, we have more diabetics on our hand, because in this country we already have problems with NCDs. So healthy aging has to start very early.